Hello, my friends. Welcome back to my channel, Diamonds and Washi. My name is Katie, and if you are new to my channel, hey, welcome. I hope you consider subscribing. And if you are back, as always, welcome back. Today I am here with my weekly WIP and Chat. WIP stands for Work in Progress, and Chat is pretty self-explanatory. So feel free to whip out your WIP, whether that's a diamond painting like I'm going to be working on or whatever it is that you happen to be up to. I hope that I can keep you company and we can catch up just a little bit. And yeah, so let me give you all the info about what I'm going to be working on and working with today. I will link to everything below in the description, of course, if you want to check out any of these goodies and small shops and whatnot for yourself. So the canvas that I'm working on is Protege from Diamond Art Club, and I happen to have this handy today. This is the original artwork. Isn't that ridiculously beautiful? Like, oh my gosh. So the artist for this one is Dimitra Milan. Fun fact, I mispronounced her name for an embarrassingly long time before, so my friend Steph pointed it out to me. Speaking of Steph, my friends Steph and Jacqueline and I are all working on this particular kit at the same time right now, just as a super informal, just friend diamond paint along. This piece in particular, we all really fell in love with, and it has a lot of different elements that we all love. And so when we were all kind of like, we want to work on this super soon, we were like, why don't we work on it together? So that's what we're doing. So look how pretty that is. And did I say it's from Diamond Art Club? It's from Diamond Art Club. As far as accessories and goodies go, my pens tonight. This is from C'est Plus Beau à Tour and is relatively new. And this one is an oldie but a goodie. This is from Jim's Handmade Pen Shop. And I think this might have been the first Bloom blank pen that I ever ordered, I think. But I love the colors in it. It matches so well. And then wax-wise, I was in a little bit of a rush, so I just grabbed what I had handy from earlier. I'm using Scented Putty from Randa's Crafty Corner in my multi-placers and Not Your Mama's Mud. This is in the Lavender Dream scent in my single placer. The tray is the color Rose, I believe. It's one of the shiny colors from Munimade. And then this binder is from Patty Wax, and this is from Galloway's Gallery. I don't know if either shop is still selling these binders, but even if they are not, they have, you know, some other like really pretty binders at least. So go and check them out. So I think that's everything. The washi tape is Simply Gilded. Yeah. So let me get some putty going in this multi-placer because I forgot to grab my metal multi-placer to swap out for this one. Like I said, I guess I was in a little bit of a rush this evening, just kind of grabbing stuff, and I apologize. I'm a little bit sniffly, but I actually think that this is allergies because it literally just started this morning, and it's like my eyes are kind of watery. Like I really feel like it's allergies because my Rona symptoms have cleared up. They cleared up, fortunately, pretty quickly. And by the way, I want to say thank you, of course, to everyone who was so incredibly sweet and kind and sent well wishes in the comments after my last week's WIP and Chat. I got some really nice messages and stuff like that. So just a huge thank you for all of those kind messages and whatnot. Micah and I are both on the mend. Honestly, I don't know that you would necessarily even know that either of us were sick, and that like literally just over a week ago is when I started showing symptoms. I was really fortunate, and I'm going to totally shamelessly and scientifically credit being up to date with my pokes, with my vaccines. I was only a week out from my booster, so I didn't even have full protection from the booster shot yet, because I guess it takes like 14 days to get full immunity from that. But I basically had to take Sudafed and Advil round the clock for like 2 days, and then I was essentially fine. So I will count that as a huge win. The only thing that has lingered a little bit is the fatigue, but from everything that I hear, that's like incredibly normal. That the fatigue can linger for a really long time. Look how cute that. Okay, you guys can't even see it. That's okay. Little fox minder up there. But yes, like I said, I really wanted to say thank you for all of the encouragement and the kind words after last week's WIP and Chat. So what all do I have going on? I'm enjoying working on this kit. I haven't made quite as much progress as I might have otherwise expected because I'm super excited. You guys, I finally did it. I filmed the unboxing of my Heaven and all of the tools and things the components, I suppose, of my Heaven and Earth Designs cross-stitch conversion to a diamond painting. That's a mouthful. Let me grab a color, not just talk. And I spent some time kitting it up and time-lapsing most of it, most of the kitting up process. And that was quite the process because I've never done a Heaven and Earth Designs cross-stitch conversion before. I've never done any kind of cross-stitch conversion to a diamond painting before. But I had, and this was all actually a while back that I did this. So back in the spring of last year, like over 6 months ago at this point, I had decided that, okay, I want to do a cross-stitch conversion to a diamond painting. Like that was the other big thing on sort of my diamond painting bucket list. The first big thing on my diamond painting bucket list was to complete one of the like massive number of colors Josephine Wall kits from Diamond Painting Deutschland, and I have completed 2 of those, in fact. But that was always kind of one of 2 major bucket list kind of goals for diamond painting. Are you like that too? Do you have like, this is a project, it doesn't have to be like a large scale project like these, but just in general, like, do you have something that's on your long-term to-do list or your bucket list when it comes to crafting, whether it's diamond painting specific or just in general? I know, like, for a lot of cross-stitchers, they talk about, like, actually completing some of these large Heaven and Earth Designs cross-stitch patterns or something like that, and mad respect to those of you that are tackling that, because I have a glimpse of how time-consuming this is going to be as a diamond painting, and I can't imagine if I were doing this, like, with thread or floss. Anyway, so last spring, when were they running a sale? Heaven and Earth Designs was running a really good sale on their charts. And so I picked up a few different charts, including the chart for a piece that basically as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's the one. That's the piece that I want to do as a diamond painting someday. And I tried to talk myself out of it for a while because I looked at the size and did the math to see like how big of a diamond painting it would be. And I was like, that is bananas. I need to talk myself out of that because that's going to be too much, even for silly old me. Like, that's just going to be way too much. I tried to talk myself out of it for months. It didn't work, and I just knew that ultimately that was just going to be bugging me in the back of my head. Even if I would have bought a different chart and been like, okay, I'm doing this one, it still just would have been stuck in the back of my head like, but this isn't the one you really, really want to do. So I don't have the picture handy. It's over there on my desk, and I can't quite go grab it. But if you'd like to look up the name of the pattern, or the picture, the artwork, it is called Dragon Race Into the Night. And I will, by the way, if you don't want to have to click away from the video to look it up, don't worry. I will have the first video in this conversion series up soon, this week or next. I'm not totally sure yet. So I will show the artwork there as well, of course. But yes, the title of the piece is Dragon Race Into the Night. It is enormous, and it is so incredibly beautiful. Like, if you know me at all, you probably know that I have a huge soft spot in my heart for dragons, and that I adore all things dragons. That's just the fantasy genre in general has always been kind of my wheelhouse, like from a very young age. Like, that was the genre of book that I always gravitated towards. So that just has continued to stick with me. And there's something about that artwork that actually really strongly reminds me of a book series I wonder if any of you might have possibly read. It's been around for a while. It's called The Dragon Riders of Pern by Anne McCaffrey. There's just something about the style of the artwork and the kind of like vibe that it gives off and the story that I feel like I'm reading into it that like I immediately place it in that particular verse or that particular canon. So anyway, when Heaven and Earth Designs was running a sale, I think it was a 50% off sale on their charts. And this being such a large chart, like 50% off was actually a significant amount. So I went ahead and I bought the chart. I had been following along in there's a Heaven and Earth Designs diamond painting group on Facebook that I had been, reading and following along with what people were sharing and posting in there and questions people were asking and stuff. And I was just trying to learn quite a lot before I actually pulled the trigger on anything. But I went into that Facebook group and I was aware of like kind of the common go-to companies that people would use to source their canvases and diamonds from, at least at that time. I will say that like several more shops have opened up since then. So the fact that like I got my canvas and drills from one particular shop doesn't necessarily mean that like I don't think some of the shops that come out that have opened since then are good, if you know what I mean. But shortly after ordering the canvas, I sent the floss usage chart, because you're not supposed to send the actual cross-stitch chart over to anyone else. Like, that's a big no-no, because like that's what you're paying for. And copyright and all of that. But I sent the floss usage chart and the size and all the info over to Brandy over at Cooper Diamonds, and chatted with her a little bit to try to think through, okay, what makes sense as far as how to break this project into manageable pieces. Because, okay, it's so stinking large that what we ultimately landed on was breaking it into 4 separate canvases, 4 separate panels. And each panel, this is not the whole project in total, each of these panels is 70-ish, I think like 71-ish by like 93-ish centimeters. There's 4 canvases, each that size. So I basically split the artwork into quadrants. There's already like a natural divide down the middle, like the left side is day and the right side is night, hence the like dragon race into the night. So it's split in half that way, and then split in half like top and bottom, which is not as pretty of a split. Like, that might cut through middle of a picture. But the idea is that by splitting it into 4 canvases, 4 panels, it will be much more manageable to work on. I won't have to do really wonky things to reach the middle of the canvas, especially because I don't have a dedicated crafting space where I can just set that up and leave it set up. I've seen some people with really nifty setups where they have like the canvas like feed under their table and like wrap loosely like around a pool noodle, and they have like a whole rig set up for their canvases. But like then that's just where their their giant like heaven and earth designs projects live for months and months and years even. I don't know how long this project is going to take me to complete, but it's going to be a very long-term project, especially because I'm going to be working on other projects concurrently, because otherwise I think I would probably just burn out, particularly like I need the satisfaction of a finish from time to time. And I feel like even if I worked only on that project, I think it would still take me like a year to finish or something more. But I was nervous because I thought, is this really the smart way to do this? This is literally my first conversion of a cross-stitch chart into a diamond painting. Like, really, really, Katie, what are you thinking as far as why wouldn't you have started with something smaller to see if this is even something that you're going to like? But I don't know how to be reasonable sometimes. I think that I was just embracing the project because I just love taking on projects like this, and thought, especially if I know that I love this artwork and I keep coming back to it after months and months of trying to talk myself out of it, I really feel like it's meant to be. Like, I'll enjoy working on it, and hopefully that will like give me the willpower to work on it and be okay with like, it's not going to be one of those things that gets finished in, a month or 3 months or something. We'll see though. I know I fully recognize that like I am just now really in like the honeymoon stage of starting this project. I did the same thing with the Spirit of Flight comparison, where especially when I started out, I was like, this is the best. I'm just going to fly through this. I love this, blah, 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 blah. And then, I went through phases where I was like, I hate this project. And then I was like, yeah, that means I need to take a break. So that's my other hope, though, is that by splitting this massive canvas into 4 separate canvases, even though those canvases are not small either, my hope is still that like eventually I will get a finish, in the sense that I'll have finished one of those canvases. So anyway, I'm excited about it because it's just been at the forefront of my mind. And that's why you guys are hearing so much about it right up front, is because I literally had to pack it away to pull out this project to work on. But I was having so much fun. It did take me a long time to kit up, though it just has 88 colors compared to the 275 that Spirit of Flight had. So I'm like, this feels totally manageable by comparison. Really what took the longest is that I completed, and this always happens to me, because I'm a spaz and I changed my mind. I got it fully kitted up in one storage system and looked at it for a minute and went, this isn't how I want to have this stored. And so I re-kitted it into a different storage system that I was like, this is how I need this to work. So I switched from using the like screw top bottles and like the suitcase thing that I've used for some of my past Josephine Wall projects. I originally had it in there, but then I decided to switch to the Elizabeth Wards, in large part because there are so many diamonds, and I just had a massive box of unopened bags of diamonds that wouldn't fit into like those little tubes. And I was like, this is going to be a huge pain. I'm going to have to be going back and pulling out from the stash all the time. If I kit up into Elizabeth Ward's, at least the colors that there are the most of, I can at least like fill up one of the larger Elizabeth Ward containers with those, and I'll have to, I won't have to go back as often to refill, if that makes sense. So the kit in total, which this is fun because I'm using Pattern Keeper, and one of the fun things about it is it tells you Excuse me. Grab a quick drink of water. Pattern Keeper tells you how many stitches there are in the entire piece, and as you mark ones that are done, it'll tell you how much of a percentage you have left and all that. So the number of stitches, which is the same as the number of diamonds that are in this piece, is like 417,000. For reference, I just looked earlier today. It came up in Randy's live. That's You Can Call Me Buddha. Because Steph was asking me about it, and she was like, oh, is it only 417,000? And she's like, I would have thought it would have been more. And I went and looked just by comparison, because I know that Diamond Art Club started putting drill counts on some of the listings on the website. And Spirit of Flight from Diamond Art Club is 106 centimeters by 70 centimeters and has like 115,000 diamonds or 106,000 diamonds or something. So it's like Spirit of Flight from Diamond Art Club times 4. So it's like, yeah, no, I think that actually is about right. But yeah, I'm curious to see like what my overall pace ends up being. Where is this symbol? I don't know how often that project is going to make an appearance during WIP and Chats though, because there's counting involved, and it's just a different kind of project to work on. It takes like more focus, and I feel like if I were trying to work on it and do a WIP and Chat at the same time, I would be stopping every 10-15 seconds to like count or double check something. Maybe once I get into more of a groove though, like then maybe I'll feel like I can walk and chew gum at the same time. Walk and cross-stitch conversion at the same time. We'll see, but I am going to do a series of videos that is just dedicated to that project in general, where, aside from the obvious things like an unboxing that I did film and the, kitting up and whatnot, I'll also try to do like check-ins and share like what my findings and learnings have been. I thought about trying to do a lot of that up front as kind of like an intro to the series, but for a couple of reasons decided not to do it that way. Partly because, well, in large part because I feel like I want to get my hands dirty first. Is that the right phrase? I think I'm using the wrong phrase. I want to get my feet wet. Not my hands dirty. Oh boy. I wanted to get my feet wet on the project first. What is wrong with me? And I wanted to actually put some time into it and get a sense for like, oh, okay, this is really like information that I feel like could be helpful to share, instead of trying to like learn all of it and give my opinion at the beginning. It's just the way that my brain works. And also because some of my friends and fellow creators are doing cross-stitch conversions right now, and they are doing some really, really fantastic like how-to series where they're also like sharing their learnings and findings. And so I feel like it would just be kind of redundant at this point. So the two people that I know for sure that are doing cross-stitch conversions right now, Emeralds and Fairy Lights. Lindsay over there just started one, and she's fantastic. Go and check her out. And then Lisette over at Lisette Crafts and Tells. She started hers at the end of last year, I think, but she also has some great videos as well. So I'll try to remember to link to both those channels below. Go and take a look. And I'm the first person to like try to shout out and lift up like my fellow creators. Like I'm not the kind of person that's going to be like, no, don't go to anyone else's channel, just stay on mine and don't see what anyone else has to say. No, like I love shouting out fellow creators, especially when they're doing cool stuff like that. So anyway, so I figure like I want to watch their videos, and two, I initially was like, do I want to watch their videos or do I want to try to go into it with like just a totally fresh start? So I haven't watched them yet, but I do want to go back and take a look and see what those girls are saying. And then later on, I'll probably, put together some of my own thoughts again, just sort of learnings as I go. Anyway, now that I've talked like half this WIP and Chat about that project, but I'm sorry, you guys, like I said, it just has truly been at the very forefront of my mind. But I'm excited to get to share it with you guys. Let's talk about other things though. So how about those Diamond Art Club releases this past weekend? I was laughing because like Diamond Art Club was being so silly and so cagey. They were not answering anyone's questions. Props to them for having zipped lips. They decided that they wanted to have like the release be like a Friday surprise, basically. They were not telling anyone if there were going to be new releases on Saturday until Friday. They showed all of them. I'm so excited that they dropped the rest of the crests, the Hogwarts crests in the Harry Potter series. I love the art style so much, and even though I am a Ravenclaw through and through every single time, I did pick up one of each of the crests because I was like, this would be such a gorgeous set to have. And they're each like in the single digits for number of colors or something. So I was like, these would work up super quickly and I love it. I love it. So I'm so curious to see what else Diamond Art Club is going to have for us from Warner Brothers. I have to say, you guys, I was not expecting them to have so much. It's so cool though. And my brain hadn't even gone to like all of the other properties that Warner Brothers like has the rights to that like Diamond Art Club can have access to, like now that they have that licensing deal. Like it's cool. I'm excited to see what else is coming. But I'd love to hear, did you guys pick up anything from the release, or are you not really that much into Harry Potter? In one of these videos, I did forget about this, and then it came to mind when I was filming my sneak peek for last week. But someone had brought up an interesting point that like I want to figure out a way to talk about it, and I want to do some more like thinking and sort of research on it. But someone had brought up like how do you reconcile some of the like really awful things that the author of these books has said with like the fact that like I'm promoting these kits, you know, and it wasn't at all antagonistic the way that they put it. But I know a lot of people struggle with this just with the Harry Potter franchise in general. Like, how do I still like love and support Harry Potter when like the author has done like incredible harm to the trans community? And that's something I am still trying to like think on and figure out where I land and what my thoughts are on that. But I want to try to collect some thoughts on that and hopefully be able to have kind of like a healthy discussion around that. Because it's a tough subject that like a lot of people have really, really strong feelings about, and I respect that, and I don't blame them whatsoever. But that just had come to mind that I was like, oh yeah, I wanted to bring that up maybe like in a WIP and Chat or something, because I don't know that like a sneak peek video is the place for something like that. And I don't necessarily want to make a whole separate video that's like titled and dedicated to that, because I'm afraid that sort of thing would really like draw in people that are completely outside of the diamond painting community, and not necessarily in a good way. Like, I don't necessarily want to like draw in a bunch of trolls or something like that. So we'll see. I'm trying to be really thoughtful and intentional about that. But yeah, other things that are happening just in personal life stuff, just some other updates. So we did have a little bit of a scare with Micah last week. So he had tested positive for the virus about a week and a half ago on Thursday. And then he had like a low-grade fever and a little bit of a runny nose for a few days, and then mostly seemed fine aside from like some crankiness and fatigue. But then on Wednesday evening, so like 6 days after, his positive test and onset of symptoms and everything, he had seemed about back to himself. But he really, really, really scared us because for 2 evenings in a row, he was having these, I'll call them episodes, but I want to tell you right now that that's a strong word for what was happening. That's just the easiest way I have to describe it. He had these episodes. They would last for 20 or 30 minutes. And while he was having these episodes, he was not able to walk. Not really. It was like he would be able to stand up, but then as soon as there was any weight on his right leg, it looked kind of like his right ankle to me, it would buckle. And he would get really, really upset, and there was nothing swollen. There was no bruising. There was, nothing visible that we could see that was wrong at all. And he didn't have a fever. He didn't have anything else going on. But like these episodes would just last for like 20 or 30 minutes. And then kid would literally act like nothing had happened and be like running around and jumping and doing all these things. So initially that there were 2 separate episodes that happened on Wednesday evening, and Adam and I were a little bit freaked, but we were like, but by the time that happened in the evening. And so I was like, well, let's see if he's even going to be able to like go to sleep if he's still having trouble walking when we go to like try to get ready for bed, like obviously then let's keep him awake and see if it, gets better. So he was fine. Again, he was running around and playing with Connor and all that. So we put him to bed. I went in and checked on him a few times overnight to make sure like he was still breathing. We still have a camera in his room for the baby monitor. So I turned that on, which I don't remember the last time I had turned on the baby monitor. And then the next morning he woke up, seemed perfectly fine. And so we thought, okay, maybe it was just some weird fluke. Maybe he just pulled something, or maybe there's some like a pinched nerve, or who knows what, a muscle cramp that just bothered him last night. So then all day Thursday, the next day, he pretty much seemed fine. And then I noticed shortly before bedtime, I noticed him starting to walk kind of funny. And I was like, Adam, I think it's starting to happen again. And sure enough, within a few minutes, the same exact thing was happening again. And this time it seemed to be worse. It seemed like it was in like both legs a little bit. And it almost was like even when he was sitting down, like it was almost like he had a hard time like keeping his balance sitting up. So I'm freaking out at this point because I'm like, well, this doesn't seem to have been just a fluke then. And I had started Googling, which I know you're not supposed to do this. I confessed to our pediatrician. I was like, I went down the Google rabbit hole. I know I'm not supposed to do that. And she laughed. She's like, most parents do it. It's okay. Just, get your medical advice and diagnosis from a doctor, not from Google. But the things I was reading, particularly as side effects from the virus, were scary. Very, very scary. So we put Micah to bed because it lasted for about half an hour. And we managed to get him calmed down, and then he was, walking and seemed to be fine. So we went ahead and put him to bed, and I immediately called the nurse line. Now, our nurse advice line, I feel like I'm practically on a first name basis at this point with, those nurses, particularly since having Micah, since he's my very sick prone child in general. Connor is like the pinnacle of health. He and Adam never tested positive for COVID, were never symptomatic, like, even though we live in a small space, and by any stretch of the imagination, like, they were exposed, fully exposed. Neither of them got sick. And anyway, so I'm familiar with, like, the whole process of calling the nurse line and asking, that's what they're there for. You tell them, like, what's going on, and they can tell you, like, okay, you should see a doctor tomorrow, or go to an ER right now, or wait and see if it does this and this, and then follow up with your doctor, blah, blah, blah. For the first time in, like, the million times that I have called our nurse advice line, I tell the nurse what's going on. She asks a few questions, takes all the information. For the first time ever, the nurse doesn't give me advice or tell me what to do. She's like, I'm going to actually need to patch you through to our on-call pediatrician. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, this is something that, like, you need to talk to, like, a doctor about. She's like, because this could be, this is just, she didn't try to, like, speculate. But she just was like, this is the kind of thing that we really need to have you talk to a pediatrician about and talk through what next steps should be. So I'm trying not to panic. I'm just trying to be like, you know what? It's probably still nothing. It's, hopefully it's just, again, some sort of weird fluke. But the pediatrician on call comes on, and nice guy. We talk through things, and he said, well, it could be neurological. It could be, and here's when I started to, like, have to take some deep breaths. And Adam, I had put the doctor on speakerphone at this point, and Adam is like, reminding me just to, like, calm down. When the doctor starts saying things like, well, it might have been a stroke, but probably not. It could be something neurological, like Guillain-Barré syndrome. Like, and in my head, like, my eyes are starting to bug out, and in my head I'm going, so should I be taking him to the ER right now? I think in retrospect that maybe the pediatrician was mostly thinking out loud. But my mom brain immediately goes to, like, we're going to end up in the hospital. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm so freaked out right now. And the pediatrician continued to ask, some more questions, get some more information. He said, okay, he's sleeping, Micah's sleeping soundly right now. And this is something that, like, is coming and going. It's not just staying. So it's probably not neurological. He said, you're okay to wait until morning, but you should see a pediatrician for a physical exam so they can actually, like, look at him and, check him out in person tomorrow. So, okay, I'll call my pediatrician first thing, which I did. I had my alarm set for when the phone lines for our pediatrician's office opened, and I was so glad I was able to get an appointment with, like, our actual pediatrician. There's, like, several pediatricians in the practice, and usually, like, if you call for a same-day sick visit, you're not going to get in with your actual doctor because it just depends on who has availability. And I really love all the pediatricians in our practice, but I was so thrilled when I was able to get in with our pediatrician because I feel like she knows our kids. We've been taking them to her in the 6.5 years that we've had kids, and I really, really like her. And she's taken wonderful care of our family and our kids. So I was really glad that we got to see her. Micah did his usual lose his mind over simple things like having his temperature taken. And the indignity when the doctor dared listen to his breathing with the stethoscope. Because that just the touch of a stethoscope was torturous for him. I don't mean to make light of it, but I kind of do because, yeah, I'm so tired of having to hold a screaming child so that doctors can do something that as simple as look in his ears or whatever. I know as he gets older, this will hopefully get a little bit easier. I understand he has, sensory sensitivities going on that are very much related to his autism. I understand all that. It's so exhausting, and I feel like a terrible mother. Anyway, so the doctor, she's, we talked through everything. She's able to get a good, look at him. I actually managed to get Micah pretty distracted on his tablet at one point, so that the doctor was able to pretty freely, examine his legs and his, rotate them and move them and feel them, just to make sure there wasn't anything else going on there. And so I was really glad that she was able to do that. And ultimately she said that she's like, I don't think this is neurological, because if it were neurological, it most likely would not be coming and going intermittently, and it certainly wouldn't be tied to time of day. So she's like, what I suspect is that it is, I'm not going to remember the full correct name of it. It's toxic something, that basically means inflammation of the hip joint. And it's very common it happens with viruses in general. It's most common with upper respiratory viruses. She even asked, she's like, was he tested for influenza as well? And I was like, yeah, when they did his test, it was a combo flu and COVID test. And I was like, they didn't specifically say that he tested negative for flu, but I'm guessing since they didn't say any, they just told us positive for COVID, that, flu, he was not. She's like, oh yeah, no, they would have told you if you were positive for flu as well. But she said, with COVID still being so new, relatively speaking, she's like, while we would say that this is more commonly seen with the flu, she's like, for all we know, this is going to turn out to be a not uncommon side effect of COVID as well. But basically what it means is that the hip joint gets so inflamed, to the point that often people just can't walk. Either there's not feeling or it's so painful. So she was like, the way that we treat this, she's like, you're just going to give him an anti-inflammatory, which is Advil or Motrin. And she's like, it's not going to hurt him to give it to him round the clock. We're going to give it for 4 or 5 days. That should reduce any inflammation in his hip, and this will clear up on its own. And then also, if for whatever reason this is not what it is, then we'll know, because the Motrin won't work. So thankfully, he has not had another episode since, but you know what, you guys? I know I got kind of preachy in last week's WIP and Chat about this, but seriously, COVID is not just a bad cold. Let me be clear here. COVID is not just a bad cold. The Omicron variant is not just a mild variant that everyone should just get it and then then we'll be over it. No. False. I am going to call out that right now, because what happened to my child, who is too young to be vaccinated, is because of not enough people getting vaccinated to give him protection through herd immunity, and led to him having this side effect, to the point that I was hearing from the doctor the words stroke, neurological disorder. I cannot tell you the fear that went through me, and these were legitimate possibilities. These are things that have, in fact, been side effects of COVID. COVID is not a bad cold, and my mama bear instincts are coming out so hard right now. I am so sorry, but I'm also not sorry, because it's so upsetting and so frustrating when our family has been doing everything that we can to keep ourselves protected, to keep our community protected, to keep our kids safe and healthy. But when the reality is that Micah is 3.5 years old, he cannot get vaccinated. We are relying on our community and the people around us to be doing their part. And that did not happen in this case. And so I'm fired up, and this might be the most upset or passionate that you may have heard me on here, but it was just, I feel like we lucked out and got the best case scenario where it was like, oh, it's inflammation, you can treat it with Advil. I was so sure we were going to end up in the hospital and then he was going to need an MRI and brain scans. Like I thought this is it. Like this is where this is going. And I am beyond grateful that for us, at least for now, because who knows what the long-term effects of this virus are going to be. I don't know what Micah's going to wake up with tomorrow and have an issue from. I don't know what the long-term impact of him having had this virus with no protection from vaccinations or anything. I do not know the ways that this is going to negatively impact my child's life. And that just, I can't go down that rabbit hole for very long, but it makes me that much more impassioned about pleading with people to do their part, because we shouldn't be where we are now. Like 2 years ago, if you would have said that we're still going to be here in 2 years, I would not have believed you. And we didn't have to be where we are right now. And I'm going to move on from that topic because, got a little fired up there. Okay. You guys. Moving on. Deep, calming breaths. So, the kids will be able to go back to school this week. They have hit that window where they are far enough out from, in Micah's case, onset of symptoms, and Connor, like from exposure. They'll both be able to go back on Tuesday. Micah hypothetically could have gone back last week if he would have gotten a negative test, but he was still testing positive when we went on, did we go on Wednesday? I don't remember. And so, and I don't know. My pediatrician had backed up and said, she's like, especially with like these young kids, she's like, I go for the 10-day window before you're, sending them back out in public and stuff. So I think that a lot of kids are out sick right now, and I think our schools have some low staffing issues. So I don't know what this is really going to look like for my kids, but we will see. They have been going stir crazy though, so I am glad that they get to go back to school. But I'm also, of course, a little nervous. But I have been working with Micah on his mask wearing more diligently, and I've gotten him much more consistent with it. I'm gonna let his teacher know and ask her, like, please, keep this up. Like, help me, like, help us make this just be a thing. Where is that symbol? There's 60 colors in this kit, and sometimes I just have trouble. So I wanted to talk briefly about TV shows because you guys were so great and gave me lots of suggestions last week, and I've made note of some of them to try. But I ended up getting caught up in some other stuff this week because some new things dropped. Like I didn't realize that season 2 of Cheer was coming out. I just opened Netflix and was like, season 2 of Cheer, and I was like, what? I didn't know that was coming. Don't worry, no spoilers here. But I binged that in like 2.5 days. And I have feelings. But that was fun to get to catch up on. And then, okay, has anyone else seen Encanto yet? Because oh my gosh, I keep alternating through, like shuffling through which of those songs is stuck in my head. Encanto, yes, it's a Disney movie. But, hello, we are at a point in our culture and society where it is fully acceptable for adults to watch kids' movies. Like, hello, how many Pixar movies are 100 times more appreciated by adults than children? So yeah, Encanto is a new Disney movie. It's on Disney Plus. And I had heard some people talking about it. I kept seeing memes floating around and people referencing how catchy the songs were. And then I realized, oh, Lin-Manuel Miranda did the music. Like, of course the songs are super, super catchy. Lin-Manuel Miranda did did Hamilton, among other things. But he's, like, most well known for, like, the musical Hamilton, which is, like, a masterpiece of songwriting. But that just explains why the music in Encanto is so catchy. But yes, fair warning, if and when you go and watch that movie, just be prepared for songs to be stuck in your head. For me, it alternates freely between Surface Pressure and We Don't Talk About Bruno. I love the message in Surface Pressure so much. That's one of my favorite things about this movie is there's so much good messaging in it that is like good reminders for adults. Like one of the lyrics in Surface Pressure is something like, I'm pretty sure I'm worthless if I can't be of service. And talking about how people just, it has to do with like the expectations that are placed on us both by our family and our community and the people around us, and that we place on ourselves. And like, that's not where your self-worth should be. Did I mix up colors at some point? Those look like two different colors. Oh man. Those seriously look like two different colors. Snap. Oh man. When would I have mixed that up? I don't know if you guys see. Does it look like two different colors to you? Yep, they sure do on the camera. That's a big pain in the butt. I bet the more orange one is supposed to be it. What would I have mixed up with this color? Oh, I'm so annoyed. Okay, anyway. So all this to say, if you have not watched Encanto, even if you don't have kids, I recommend it. Other shows, I was poking around. I was just browsing because I was just feeling in a really like indecisive mood. So I was like, I'm just going to browse through our different apps and just see what kind of jumps out at me. And for whatever reason, Castle was looking interesting to me. And I was asking Adam about it. He's like, you'd probably like it. Give it a try. I really, really love Nathan Fillion. Gosh, he's amazing in Firefly in particular. But I just thought like that would be like a fun show to try. Adam was like, it'll probably be really good background noise for diamond painting since it's like a procedural like crime show or whatever, but he's like, it's supposed to be pretty funny. So I've just watched a couple episodes of that and it has been funny. I don't know if I'll keep watching it. I'll probably give it a few more episodes and just see kind of what I feel like. I haven't been able to go back to The Handmaid's Tale. I watched all the first season and I started the second season and was like, I need something that's like not quite as heavy and gritty. And I've also been, oh my gosh, you guys, Queer Eye on Netflix is so amazing. Okay, it's really different in a lot of ways from like the original Queer Eye in like such a good way. It's less about like it's not even remotely about like, we're going to make over you and your life because what you currently have is garbage. It's more about like, they're finding people that just have never taken out time for themselves. Like these people that have just absolutely poured back into others. And it's just taking the time and the chance and like the resources to show them how to make sure they're doing self-care and taking time out for themselves as well. And you guys, it is, oh my gosh, if you need warm fuzzies, this show is for you. I spread it out as much as possible. Like I save it for when I'm having a day that like I need to feel uplifted, and that's the show. That is the show for me. And I also tackle like some difficult like contexts and stuff like that. Like the current season takes place in Texas, and you know, they're often like seeing and dealing with people that like have probably very, very, very different political views from them. But like there's so much love and care and like understanding and healing that's happening there. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You will probably cry like happy tears though as well. So on that note, I will go ahead and wrap this up, you guys. I am glad I was able to bring it back around and end on like some warm fuzzies. I am sorry that I went off there. I get really passionate sometimes when it comes to my kids, and I'm an extremely empathetic person and care very deeply about the people around me. And when I feel like I am giving all that I have to take care of the people around me, and I don't feel like I'm seeing others do that in the same way, it can just be, especially when it then turns around and affects my kids, it just can be really upsetting. So yeah, but like I said, glad we could turn around and end on warm fuzzies. Go watch Queer Eye if you need to feel uplifted and have your faith in humanity restored again. It's on Netflix, and it is just the best. I was so glad when they dropped a new season just recently. So anyway, you guys, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, would you mind dropping a fox emoji, because we worked on this lovely fox kit today. Look out for some videos from me this week. I may or may not have that Heaven and Earth Designs unboxing up this week. We'll just see. I have some post reviews and unboxings I'd like to get to as well. So just keep an eye out. I'll have a few videos for you this week. And yeah. Thank you guys so much for being here and for watching, especially if you made it all the way to the end. I super appreciate you guys. Please, please, please be taking care of yourself. Please, please, please be taking care of yourself and staying healthy, and be looking out for the people around you as well. So have a really, really wonderful rest of your week, my friends, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye.